It's Friday, July 29th, 2022. A few things I want to talk about today. First, I want to respond to a comment that I read last night. Now, I'm not picking on this individual. I'm not attacking this individual. A lot of people will say that I shouldn't even respond to things like this, but I think it's important that we do, because this is the mentality that we are witnessing throughout the US. This individual says that I've been talking about doom and gloom for 3 years. Let me correct this individual. I've been talking about reality for 3 years. And to that individual, just go back. Take a look at where food prices were 3 years ago, gas prices, just the state of affairs. And just look at how everything's been eroding year after year after year. Take a look at the debts and deficits from 3, 4, 5 years ago, and just look at how they've exploded year after year after year. I'm pointing out concern. I'm pointing out reality. I'm pointing to the direction that this economy has been going for years. And just watching this trend take place, and this has alarmed me, and this is why I sound the alarm daily, because I've been watching this just like many of you have been watching this, and we're watching the direction that it's going in, and this is why we're concerned. This is why all of us have been taking action. Some of you have been taking action for months. Many of you have been taking action for years, but we began watching all of this play out back in 2008. That's when I was a part of this whole thing. Took a hard hit financially from the 2008 crisis, and I'm much more prepared this time around, and this is why I'm warning all of you. You do not want to go through a Great Depression or 2008 financial crisis not prepared. I learned a valuable lesson. I didn't get hit as hard as a lot of people that I knew, a lot of friends and associates that I had that lost everything, lost the cars, the big houses. I wasn't quite in the disaster that they lived through, but it ate up a lot of my money, a lot of my cash to survive, to get through this. And I learned a very valuable lesson. And many of those people that lost the houses and cars are repeating the same mistakes, which is shocking. But I took something away from it. I learned a very, very valuable lesson, and it's shocking how many people lost everything, just filed bankruptcy, lost the cars, the houses, and they're right back repeating the same mistakes, the same recklessness, and the same irresponsibilities. And this time around, it's going to be much worse. And I think it's going to be much, much harder to recover from this one than what we saw in 2008. So heed the warning, ladies and gentlemen. But to this individual, talking doom and gloom for 3 years, he says the stock market's up, crypto's up, gold and silver's up, everything is going to be fine by the dip. I don't think we've even seen the dip yet. They can rally these markets back, but you got to ask yourself, why is the stock market back up, ladies and gentlemen? Really ask yourself, is it because the economy is booming? Is it because the consumer is strong? Is it because everybody's back to work? Is it because maybe because the Fed is buying into the markets, the Fed's buying bonds? How about maybe it's what we're witnessing take place with the government now passing more stimulus? And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But ask yourself, why is all of this up? Everything's going to be fine because the markets are up, right? Many of you may not even be in the markets. Some of you may have a 401k or an IRA or a money market, whatever. And many of you just don't really care because you don't watch this day to day, and it may not affect you as much. But in reality, it's going to affect every one of us when these markets do crash at some point. And I'm not saying that's going to happen tomorrow. As I've always said, I don't know when they're going to crash. I just know that we're on path to a major market crash, bond crash, real estate crash. We are on a one-way road to a major crash. And too many people believe who are in these markets, who are not in these markets, believe because when they turn on the television, the market's up. Everything's fine. That means the economy's fine. That couldn't be further from the truth. The stock market and the real economy are so detached. There is no relationship between the two of them now. But I do believe that it will be the economy, it will be the housing market that at some point does collapse the stock market. They can continue to manipulate these markets, but they're going to have a much harder time manipulating the economy, as we are finding out, as people continue to resort to credit cards, people resorting to payday loans and personal loans, and people now admitting that they're really having big trouble. But to this individual, maybe he's going to go buy some Amazon stock at $137 today. Maybe he's going to buy some Apple at $136 or $137, and maybe he'll buy 3 shares of that, 5 shares of that, 10 shares of that, and he's going to be wealthy. What I think a lot of people don't understand, if you don't watch these markets daily, is they are completely still very overvalued, and it takes a lot of money to make money. You've got to bet big to win big. And I know that there's a lot of people that write me, telling me that, oh, they're in the markets and, they made $28 today, or they made $125 last week in the stock market. And so they feel like they're winning. In reality, you've got to be gambling hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars to be making money in these markets. Again, I don't think people really quite understand what's going on here. Yeah, maybe their Apple stock is up 2 or 3% today. That's wonderful. But is your Apple stock, your Amazon stock, all this going to protect you from an economic collapse? Is it going to be here 10 years from now? This is why I buy gold, silver. This is why I'm stacking cash, because I'm going to buy the dip when the real dip gets here. Remember, this is all severely manipulated right now. The hedge today, a storm of indicators show the U.S. consumer is tapped out. So I want to just, again, respond to this individual who wrote the comment to me. And again, this isn't to pick on you or to point fingers at somebody. Nothing. I think we can all learn from this, that this is the mentality of people that, they're going to continue to buy a couple shares of Apple or Amazon or whatever it might be, and they feel like they're going to be rich. Many people buying into cryptos, watching a computer screen 20 hours a day, waiting to get rich, while all this is rigged. Health of the American consumer, ladies and gentlemen, is failing. And to this individual, I want to share some reality with you, some data. Consumer sentiment has plunged 37% since last year, indicating that faith in the economy is rapidly dissolving. Now, what does the stock market mean to you or I if you don't have a job? If you're paying $5, $6, $7 for a gallon of gas, you're paying $18, $20, $30 for a pound of steak. A family of 4 spending, $200, $300 a week at the grocery store easily. Do you really care that the stock market is up today? I'll tell you who cares. The top 1%. That's who cares. The average American isn't in these markets. They don't care. They are struggling to survive day to day. They care about when gas is going to get back down to $2 or $3 a gallon. They care when steak gets back to $9 or $10 a pound. When chicken prices go back down 33%. That's what they care about. Why did retail sales only climb 1%? Last year, retail sales were up 7.73% in the middle of the inflation chaos, but yet they're not up more than 1% right now as I make this video. $6 trillion in stimulus funds has cycled through the retail chain and out of people's pockets. Think about what $6 trillion did to the economy, what it did to the stock market, these artificial injections, this stimulus. And people believe everything is okay. If everything is okay, why do they keep pumping trillions and trillions of dollars into the economy, into the markets? And we're going to talk more about the new stimulus that is coming to save the day. It's gone. That money is gone. And the huge increase in economic activity that it triggered is also gone. Around 43% of all Americans are falling into debt this year. To that individual, what do you say to these people that are falling into debt? And probably even this individual I'm talking to is probably riddled with debt, but they scrounged up a few $100s on the Robinhood account to gamble. And again, I'm not judging this individual, but I'm just highlighting a few things here because we all know people like this, that you are the doom and gloomer, you're negative, stock market's up today, everything, crypto's up today, everything's fine. And why is gold and silver up? Typically when they raise rates, we see gold and silver get absolutely hammered. I believe that gold and silver are beginning to realize that inflation's not going away. We have more money printing coming. I believe the metals market believe that the Fed may ease up, but at the end of the day, if we're at 2.25 or 2.5% interest rates right now, and we're at 9.1% inflation, in all reality, we know it's closer to 20. Well, why wouldn't gold and silver be going up? Of course, we know that they short the market in the wee hours, print a lot of paper and gold, silver, and smash the prices down, but take advantage of those sales. If they're going to continue, if the central banks are going to continue to manipulate the markets, like JP Morgan shorting gold and silver, spoofing the gold and silver markets, take advantage of it. Back up the truck, buy this stuff. Not financial advice, but at least you own something real, something that is never going to be worth zero. 23% say they have no savings at all. That is scary. 23% say that they have no savings at all, while 28% say that they have savings, but only enough for 3 months of expenses should they lose their job. This is why I say to so many people, it's too late for you. If you have no money at this point, how in the world are you going to survive when everything implodes? And it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. They can crank these markets up, but we know that the economy is dying. The economy is done. The economy is on life support. And yet there are 23%, they're basically saying that 23% of the US population has no savings whatsoever. Those are the people, ladies and gentlemen, that are going to come knocking at your door for help. 28% say that they have savings, but only enough for 3 months. 90 days. And that's just to pay the light bill, maybe make the car payment. They don't have the money to put into preparations, the emergency food, the water, the gear, the security, the assets like gold, like silver. And that's why I say that millions of people, it's too late. It is already too late. If you're watching this video today and you have an income, if you have some side hustles, this is what you need to be putting your money in. Barterable items, real hard assets, food, water, training, paying somebody to give you a skill set, knowing how to do something. That is a great investment. Getting your body and mind in better shape. Again, millions are already done and they don't even realize it. 64% classify themselves as financially unhealthy. And my question to all of you is, if you're financially unhealthy right now, what are you going to be as this economy continues to erode? What's going to happen to the financially unhealthy when these markets do collapse? When the economy, when they pull the plug on the economy and it flatlines and there's nothing you can do about it. The financially unhealthy are doomed. They really, really are. Chicago PMI unexpectedly plunges to 2-year lows. New orders fell, production fell, order backlogs fell, inventories fell, and new orders fell. There's the good news for you today, ladies and gentlemen. But to this individual who thinks everything is okay, do me a favor. Do not be ignorant. There are too many people out there ignorant, ignoring reality because they're scared or because they're unprepared. Do yourself a favor and do some research. Do your own homework. If you took, and really this goes to everybody, if you took 15 minutes out of your day and just went to some of these sites and researched some of this data, 15 minutes a day, You'd be so ahead of the game. It costs absolutely nothing to take 15 minutes out of your day and do a little research. And it will enlighten you. It will prepare you. You will be educated. And you will take even more action than you are now. Don't take my word for these things. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm no prophet. I'm no genius. I'm connecting the dots. I'm taking some time out of my day, doing a little research, looking at the data, watching, CNN, Fox, CNBC. I watch everything, and I just come to my own conclusion, and I speak out loud with all of you where I think this is all going. And if we go back 3 years ago, like this individual says, I think for the most part, you and I have been right. This whole thing has been collapsing for years, and it's getting worse. And we've watched the Fed keep rates at zero for a decade. We've watched trillions of dollars of money printing and stimulus. We watched people stay at home, not produce anything, and given free money and go on a shopping spree. We've watched the Fed during a housing boom buy mortgage-backed securities and just put more fuel on the fire. So we've watched all this. We've watched the repo market and all the corruption going on with that and manipulation. And so when you do a little bit of research, you can figure out pretty quickly that somebody and something is lying. And looking at the economy, looking at the condition of the average American, I think that we're being lied to. These Americans and their biggest inflation concerns. This is another article on The Hedge today. There is no doubt Americans are struggling to make ends meet. But just to paraphrase a little bit through this article, and just to highlight some of the data, a share of U.S. adults concerned about being able to afford the following. Gas. 33% of U.S. adults were very concerned with the price of gas. 63% were concerned, but 33% very concerned. Imagine the cost that people are dealing with just to drive to work and back and to take their kids to school. I mean, this is adding up to numbers that are affecting the average household. Groceries. 27% of Americans very concerned with the cost of groceries, 59% concerned. School supplies, 20% very concerned, 50% concerned. And clothing, 17% very concerned and 49% concerned. So a lot of people very concerned with prices. Now I want to go to another article today, which most of you know about this yesterday. This is big news. House passes $280 billion package for chips, scientific research, and the administration is set to sign bill into law. Now, out of the $280 billion, $52.7 billion will go to chips. Where's the other $230 billion going? It's going to a bunch of things, and it's going to go to a bunch of things you don't want it to go to. But my question to all of you is, please comment down below. We as a nation are nearing $31 trillion of debt. We have major deficits. We are broke. We are a bankrupt nation. Where is this money coming from? Where is this money coming from? They're going to print it, they're going to borrow it, and they're going to tag it on to you through taxes. So again, protect yourself from the oncoming inflation. Inflation is not going away. Now they could come out and say, gas prices have come down a bit, so you're paying less. That inflation, so that means inflation's coming down. Let's not forget, we're using strategic petroleum reserves to push gas prices down. And in return, we are jeopardizing the security of this nation by depleting our strategic reserves. Big no-no. Those reserves at some point will have to be replenished. Well, gas prices are now up 60%. It's going to cost a lot to replenish those reserves. So don't think for a minute that these gas prices are going to stay down forever. Remember, you were paying a lot less a year ago, and now that it's 60, 70 cents, a dollar less, depending where you live, everybody feels like oh, this is great. It's heading in the right direction. Enjoy it while you can, because it's about to go up. But think about this money printing. Again, this is just more stimulus. This is why the markets are back up, because it knows another $280 billion is going to be injected into the system. Now we also have this. Again, you want to know why the markets are up yesterday, why they're up today? Inflation Reduction Act. This is where the administration wants to pass on another $700 billion of printed and borrowed money into the system for climate change and a bunch of other things. And again, a lot of this money is just going to be siphoned into a lot of pockets. And where's it going to come from? Well, they're going to print it, they're going to borrow it, and this means that you're going to pay through it through taxes and inflation. And this is another reminder of why you better be holding some gold and holding some silver, because the way I see it, we can pretty much guarantee that inflation is not going anywhere. They can tell you next month that inflation is 6%, 5%, 4%, just like they're telling you what the employment numbers are, the unemployment numbers. It's all rigged, ladies and gentlemen. Do you really think for a second unemployment is 3.6%? Do you think that inflation is 9.1%? I don't. We know it. New research from the Daily Mail lays bare brutal toll of inflation under this administration as we break down why American families are paying a staggering $5,915 more on everyday items. So when you go to the Walmart, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the gas station, you are now, the average family, get this, is now paying $5,915 more on these everyday essentials. And this is based on a median household income of $67,500. Now, what I think we should do is really multiply this by 2, because I think inflation is closer to 20%. So that would really be about $12,000 more per year on the essentials on a $67,000 household income. Wow, that's about 20%. That's incredible. And how in the world, and I know that you ask this to your friends, to people you talk to, how are people doing it? How are people doing it? The average household, well, they're doing it with credit cards, payday loans, buy now, pay later plans. That's how they're doing it. They're doing it by going deeper and deeper into debt. July new vehicle retail sales expected to crash 10.8%. How are these dealerships staying open? How are the car companies even staying open? You're seeing a depression in the auto industry. I mean, these numbers are staggering. And I don't think people realize what 10.8% is in any type of retail sale, let alone car sales. People were buying Toyota Corollas marked up from $30,000 to $40,000, financing these things with a car payment of $700. $700 for a Corolla. That's what some people are paying right now, because they had to go out and buy a car that was jacked up, marked up. And so imagine driving a Corolla and having a $700 plus car payment. How long do these people last? You know, you look financially unhealthy. 23% have zero money saved up. I think half the country doesn't even have $400 or $500. 80% of the country living paycheck to paycheck. But don't worry, stock market's up, crypto's up, everything's going to be fine. The hedge today, U.S. natural gas prices hit 14-year high. What recession? What recession? There's no recession, right? Now, back to this individual. I guess he doesn't probably have a heating bill or a air conditioning bill. Maybe he doesn't put gas in his car. Maybe he doesn't even eat. Maybe he doesn't go to the grocery store. So, you know, when egg prices go up 33%, doesn't faze him. When meat prices go up 30%, doesn't faze this individual. When if he doesn't have a car, he doesn't have to worry about 60% increase in gasoline prices. So I guess individuals like this don't have to worry about everyday essentials. They don't have to worry about inflation because they have crypto and they bought 2 shares of Apple stock today, and you know they made $23 last week in the stock market, so everything's fine. Another article coming from The Hedge. Fed's favorite inflation indicator jumps to new 40-year high. Savings rate plunges. I guess nobody should worry about savings rate either. Incomes are up 5.7% this year, but real spending, not nominal spending, but real spending is only up 1.6% year over year. Savings rate is the lowest since August of 2009. So if everybody's making more money, why is the savings rate the lowest since 2009, sitting at 5.1%, and real inflation is sitting at about 20%? Wow. I'm going to tell you, I am very, very worried about where all this is going. And I'm probably not as prepared as I should be, but I'm more prepared than probably 97% of the country. But they are throwing gasoline on a very big fire right now. When I see what they're doing, the manipulation in these markets, and these new stimulus plans, chips and climate, and they're just called acts now. We call them, we're passing these new acts, but they're really just more stimulus packages. At the worst possible time, we have so much inflation right now, and what are we going to do? We're going to print more money, and we're going to give more money to other countries around the world too. I don't know about you, but take a look at people's standard of living. Take a look at the infrastructure of your cities. Maybe you live in a nice town, but go to LA, go to Chicago, go to San Francisco. Take a look at some of these big cities. Go to New York. Take a look at the infrastructure. Take a look at all the empty buildings. If this doesn't concern you, if this isn't beginning to scare you, you're living on another planet. They are pouring gallons of gasoline on a very, very big fire here. And what I really worry about is when this thing really begins to accelerate, this crash is going to be so enormous. It will go down in the history books. It will be biblical. It will be epic. It will be historic without a doubt. They are making this thing so bad, and yet they can just, juice the markets here a little bit, there, a little bit here, a little bit there, and people forget. All of a sudden, everything is okay. But they don't understand the repercussions of all this juicing, of all this stimulus, and all this inflation that they are causing. You've got the Fed buying bonds. I don't even know how many billions of dollars in bonds they must be buying. But this is, they suppress that 10-year. They can suppress mortgage rates. And so they're going to try to keep this housing market alive as long as they can. But here's the problem. You have a service sector economy where people just don't have the money to buy homes. They can't even afford rent. More people losing their jobs. We're going to continue to see more layoffs. And bottom line is, if you don't have a cash flow, you don't have a house. And this is going to be a big problem as people are going deeper and deeper into debt. They're not going to qualify. They're just not going to be able to afford to buy a home. And this is going to be a big, big problem in the housing market. And once they lose control of the housing market, it is game over. It doesn't even matter what the stock market does at that point. The housing market goes, and the industry that it takes down with it, it will implode the entire U.S. economy. And that will include the stock market, the bond market, all of it. We already see what's happening in the auto market. That is 6 to 12 months ahead of what's about to happen in the housing market. But we're already seeing the cracks. Check out my video from yesterday. How are they going to unload these houses? Bare minimum house. If you go to my video from yesterday, I'm walking around. Bare minimum $518,000 for a cookie cutter. That's the smallest house, single story. You're lucky if you even get a floor. You might get a dirt floor for that price. You upgrade these houses to bigger square footage, 2-story, with all the upgrades, you're at around $700,000 to $750,000. But the bare minimum house with no upgrades, you're looking at about $518,000. They want $100,000 down, $3,314 a month on a 30-year, including the Melrose. The Melrose is the infrastructure, the sewer system, and all that they add on. So you have a minimum payment on the minimum house of $3,300 a month, plus an HOA that's probably going to be $200 a month. So now you're at $3,500 a month, and you barely have carpet. You barely, I don't even know, you probably have laminate floors. You're not going to get, granite countertops. You're not getting the high-end appliances. You're not getting the high-end carpet. You're not getting the high-end doors. You're just not getting the features, right? You're not getting the travertine tile. You want all that stuff. Now you're getting up into $650, $750. And now these people are paying, now they're getting into, $4,500 a month, $5,000 a month with $100,000 down with perfect credit. So it's mind-blowing what we've watched take place, but I think we're really going to be in shock with what we're about to see as we head into the winter, and especially what we're going to see, the fallout, the fragmentation of all this, I think really occurs in 2023, and it's going to be an incredible time. Keep your powder dry, ladies and gentlemen. Stay close to God. Ask God for direction. Save some cash. Barterable items. Get some gold. Get some silver, and take a little time this weekend to get your preparations in order. Add to them, see where you're weak and what you need to add to and what you need to do. God bless all of you. Please give this video a like. Please make sure you share it and make sure you subscribe. God bless you all. I look very forward to speaking with all of you very, very soon.